being out on the road and being a woman and being in an all-female band, like experiencing the massive amounts of sexism all the time and thinking like, wow, I wish if I knew community or other women who were playing music or could guide me or mentor me. So when I went to Portland, I was so moved by this really incredible space they'd created to just have females collaborating.
This is Joe Wong. Welcome to The Trap Set, where each week we explore the lives of drummers. I want to play something for you. You're hearing Brown Town by Raining Jane, featuring my guest, Mona Tavakoli, on percussion. Mona began playing at age 11, eventually becoming a star tenor drummer in high school. She co-founded Raining Jane in 1999, and her stunningly versatile and inventive work with the still active band brought her to the attention of a host of collaborators, including Jason Mraz, Pat Benatar, and international superstar Ebby. Aside from her work as a performer, Mona co-founded the LA-based nonprofit Rock and Roll Camp for Girls. She also recently developed her signature cajon, Empty Box, with LP, and was featured on the cover of Drum magazine. I spoke to her in downtown Los Angeles. And now my conversation with Mona Tavakoli.
My mom was a nurse, and she became a nursing supervisor, and then my dad was like a banker. He worked at Bank of America.
I always get excited when people's parents are nurses, because my mother's a nurse.
Oh!
And I think it takes a special person to be a nurse.
You nailed it.
It's a very difficult job.
It really is.
You have to be tough.
You have to be tough and compassionate.
Yeah,
and like,
it's a good combination.
Oh, you gotta have deep capacity for like not taking things personally.
What kind of a nurse was your mom when you were growing up?
She was a med-surg nurse, and so she was working swing shift too. She was working like 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then, so I didn't see her a lot.
Did you miss her?
Oh my gosh, like crazy. My mom's so cool. She's like 4'8" and full of fire.
And your dad was at B of A?
He was at B of A, and then somehow he got into like auto parts and then owned an auto part place. And now he has a boat and RV storage.
Oh, really?
He's like semi-retired and living his dream.
So he has a boat and RV storage facility?
Yeah.
That's what it is?
Yeah, in like near Morgan Hill in the Bay.
How did you like San Jose as a child?
It's all I knew, Joe.
Well, were you a happy kid?
So happy. Yeah. I loved San Jose.
What kind of music was on in the house?
So that's like MTV was kind of cooking at that point, and my brother was really into like Metallica and Megadeth and Rush. And my parents were like into Persian jams. And then
Are they both Persian?
Yes, my parents are both Persian. And
did you speak Farsi growing up?
Yeah, but not as much as you would think, because my parents came over in 79. Like no,
right during the
sorry,
Revolution
75.
times? Yeah.
Gosh, I love that you know that. Yeah, so 75, they came over, got their master's degrees, and then in 81, they wanted to come back to Iran, but everyone's like, no.
Yeah.
Stay in the U.S.
Did you ever go back and visit as a family?
Yes. We would go back like every 4 years. We would go back. And then as I got older, I would go less frequently. But now I'm playing with like an Iranian icon.
Oh, really? Who?
Yes, his name is Ebby.
Okay.
And he is like a pop sensation.
You're going to have to send me some tracks that you're on with Ebby.
Totally. I don't have anything. I'm not on any of his albums, but I've been in
Maybe
his...
some live tracks.
Totes, yeah.
Yeah.
He's so rad. He's 68 and like... he's
so
full of energy.
When you go over there,
Go to Iran?
Yeah.
We
with
don't
him?
go to Iran.
Oh, so where do you play?
He was like exiled from Iran.
Oh. So you play in places where there's like a big Persian population?
Exactly.
So like if you played in Glendale, there would be like 100,000 people at the gig. Is that what the deal is?
You know what we do? We play the Microsoft Theater, and he sells it out.
Yeah.
We play in Toronto. We just got back from Australia. Like, there are Persians of Sydney, Australia, and they love their Ebby.
Yeah.
As they should. He's so special.
Were your parents fans
confirm.
of his? Like, were they
Totally.
psyched when you got that gig?
Dude, everybody is a fan of Ebby. If you find one Iranian person that doesn't like Ebby, it's like, what is wrong with you? He is pure joy, pure love. And when I told my parents that my friend is the production manager, and he's like, would you ever play Persian music? It's like, sure, but I don't play classical Persian percussion, you know? He's like, we just want you to do your thing. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, what an honor, you know? And so I came over, and anyway, I told my parents, and they were like, oh my God, you have really made it, you know? So they're really delighted. And my whole extended family in Iran and in San Jose, everyone's so proud. It's like something they understand, right? So like they know how big he is, and it gives them a context to like, oh, you're not just like playing with your friends in a garage.
Is that what they kind of pictured you doing up until then?
I think it was like images of me in a van with Raining Jane, like touring the country and making very little money. I think that's their visual of like, oh, but she had so much promise as an HR executive. You know?
Is that what they envisioned for you?
My brother and my parents always wanted me to get into like marketing.
Your brother wanted you to get into marketing?
Yeah, he just thought I had like, because I'm creative, I like to make, you know, art or whatever.
Let's do something that uses that skill and generates money.
Generate money.
Yeah.
Totes. Because clearly I was not going to become a lawyer or like...
Why clearly?
I don't know. It's like, who's got the time?
Were you not a very scholarly person?
No, I was actually.
So you could have been a lawyer.
Yeah, I loved school. I loved high school. I loved college. I studied economics and communications. I thought I was going to go into business school and like be a consultant or something.
So did you like economics?
Yeah, I still do.
Did you ever read that book, Macroeconomics by Olivier Blanchard?
That was like in my class requirements.
Ah, okay.
But I couldn't tell you anything about it right now. But
okay.
That was in my, right?
Yeah, it seems like a standard.
It was a classic, a macro classic.
And at that time, were you playing music as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. You were growing up in the 80s. Your brother was listening to metal.
Yeah, and Rush, and yeah.
Yeah, and when did you develop taste distinct from that of your brother or your parents?
The first album my brother got for me, my first LP was a Strawberry Shortcake LP. It's like music for Strawberry Shortcake.
I think we had some 45s of Strawberry Shortcake.
You did
like
too?
My sister.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
Sure, my little
the
sister.
Hits, the Shortcake hits, as they call them. No, I don't. Okay. So my brother got me a tape of Madonna's True Blue. And that was like, oh my gosh. And then when I got to high school, I was into Rush, and I was in the marching band.
So you were a dork.
Thank you so much for seeing me right away. Yes, still dork. But yeah, so I was into Rush, and then even more so in high school, and then Tori Amos emerged. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my gosh, she has so many feelings, and I understand. And then like I didn't really understand what she was talking about until later, but
you could feel it.
I could just feel. I was like, wow, like really getting into lyrics, you know.
Were you drawn to the drums?
Always.
So when you were listening to Tori Amos, were you like, oh, Matt Chamberlain is brilliant? Or...
I mean, I didn't know Matt Chamberlain at that point, but when I did know who, I
then
was
you were like,
mind blown, like no duh, like
yeah.
But yeah, Tori Amos plays so percussively that it made so much sense.
It's funny. I've been going through a very deep Kate Bush phase lately,
nice.
And I think of Tori as kind of like one of the successors of that lineage.
Totally.
So you were into Tori Amos. Did you ever go see her play?
Yes, totally.
In San Jose?
No, in LA. And actually, my friend was like an intern at her label, and she did like a meet and greet with fans. Like she did a round table at Universal when Universal was there, and she wanted to know like what we liked off her new record. And I got to sit at a table and like talk to her about her album.
What did you tell her?
Oh my! I was like drooling. I was like, "Oh my God, thank you!"
You weren't like, "Well, track 3, not so much."
Can you imagine?
Well, it seems like that's what she was asking
100%, but I was like a diehard fan.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be close to her red hair, I was not trying. And, just to be in a room full of people that are enjoying her music too, and it was just a really special experience. Mm-hmm. That was cool as an artist for her to do that.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of many people doing something like that.
Totally. It was like a focus group.
I wonder how, it doesn't seem like she's the type of person that makes her music via focus group. It seems like she just has a vision and goes with it. So that's kind of surprising in a way.
1,000%.
If it was
agree.
like a super pop record, then I could see focus groups being held
and
by
not
the label.
Not by the artist, like
Right.
by the label.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe she was just trying to see like what's going on with people that like my music.
What's the word on the street?
Yeah, what's this lady think about me? I don't know. It was really special.
When did you start playing?
Like you at 11. Yeah.
So you did a little research.
No,
Wait.
it was in one podcast. I heard you say that. And then I remembered.
So you were in 6th grade?
Yes. Yeah.
What made you want to start playing drums?
When I was like 7 or 8, my mom put me in beauty pageants. This is a totally different topic, but I was Persian dancing and playing the finger cymbals as my talent. So I was already like in the groove and dancing and stuff. And then when I got to elementary school, we had a 6th grade band, and I was so attracted to the drums. That's where all my focus went, my eyes went. I was like, wow, when I'm in 6th grade, I'm definitely playing the drums. I mean, I just felt it.
How did you feel about being in the beauty pageants?
What do you mean by that?
Did you enjoy it?
Well, I was 8. I was like, this is dope. I'm wearing a swimsuit.
Oh, there was a swimsuit
Dude, it was
competition
so
for
weird.
8-year-olds?
So weird.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna send you a photo. You're gonna enjoy.
Okay.
But I never won for beauty.
What do you mean? So there were
So
different
it's beauty
criteria.
and talent. Those were the 2 competitions.
Uh-huh.
And I won for talent, always. And then I won like Little Miss San Jose in 1984.
Oh, shit.
Like, I don't want to brag, but...
Little Miss San Jose. What were your duties?
As Little Miss San Jose? Oh, gosh. I was trying to fight crime, and no,
Did you have to cut ribbons at ceremonial,
No.
building dedications? No.
Absolutely not.
Any parades involved?
Not a one, Joe. Not a one parade. But that's okay. I was the mascot when I was at UCLA, and I got to be in the Rose Bowl parade in a bear suit. So I got to satisfy that, as a college student.
If you had a child, would you put that child in beauty pageants?
No way.
What if they wanted to be?
Well, I'd consider it if they were into it, but I cannot imagine like an 8-year-old being like, yes, put me in a competition for my good looks.
Well, I would say that our culture encourages that line of thought, so I could see why a kid would be into it, just like you thought it was dope.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think my parents they were immigrants, and they were like, how do we assimilate our children into American culture? Mm-hmm. And my brother was in Little League and Boy Scouts, and I was in beauty pageants, and I think...
It's interesting
gymnastics,
because those things are not... Well, gymnastics, yes, but beauty pageants and Boy Scouts are not, I would say, comparable as far as like what you get out of it. You're not like learning a skill. I guess you're learning some skills.
Yeah.
Like how to present yourself.
Sure.
That's
how
important.
to walk with great posture, Joe?
Well, that's important. But you're not learning how to make a fire or tie knots or something.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anyway.
But I did explore my finger cymbal.
Yeah, so you
talents.
got that going.
Totes. Yeah.
Can you remember the first time you were allowed to sit behind a drum and play?
I feel like it was in the 6th grade.
In band?
Yeah, totes. And it was like snare drum or the big concert bass drum. And then like maybe mid-year, the drum set was introduced. And it was so satisfying. I was so excited. And my parents came and saw the concert in 6th grade and were like, okay, that's cute. Good job. Go do something else.
Oh, really?
And then,
why?
I don't know. I mean, it was loud and very masculine, and they were not into it. I mean, they definitely wanted me to play something else.
Do you think it's innately masculine, or is that just the cultural perception?
Yeah, I think it's a cultural perception. But, I play cajon mostly now. That's like what I'm mainly doing, and I'm like, my legs are spread on the cajon. I'm like kind of headbanging on it. It feels like not necessarily masculine, but very like powerful or aggressive, and that those qualities are mostly attributed to masculinity. So I think that's all my parents knew. Were like, oh, boys play drums and girls dance? Question mark.
Play flute.
Do beauty pageants.
Yeah. So how did you convince them to let you play, to continue?
The story about convincing them about the drums is basically all my friends were playing flute or trombone. I had like a homie that was playing trombone, and you had to rent the horn. It was like $35 a month from the local music shop, and the drums, or all I needed were $6 pair of sticks, and that was it. And because we didn't take the drums home, and my parents were like, "Oh, like it's just $6 and you're done. You don't bring drums home." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's it." And they're like, "Sold," because they thought I was gonna quit. I'd be like, "Oh, it's too much." And then I'm like, I'm gonna keep playing.
Greed, greed, greed. You said it was mine, but you put it right back on your sleeve. And goddamn it if I don't sing along and tap my feet. Poor, poor, poor. Stealing from the rich, but you're making sure there's a foundation with your name wherever.
Was there ever like an internal struggle to meet your parents' expectations and also follow your dreams?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, that's why I think even in college I didn't pursue studying music, even though that sounded like fun, Did you know any professional musicians when you were growing up? Like, did it seem like a feasible life path? No way.
There was nobody that you could look to and be like, oh, well, Uncle Jerry is a professional drummer.
No, because, that's a great point. But it was like I had family in Iran that played guitar and dumbak and violin and all these stuff, all these things. But nobody pursued that professionally. It was always like, oh, that's cute. That's a great hobby to entertain the family at parties.
Yeah.
But it was never like, yeah, you're going to go live in a van.
When did you start thinking about going and living in a van? Like, when did you feel amazing. Like it's something that you wanted to go for?
I think once I was in Raining Jane in college, and then once we...
How did you meet the people in that band?
So I was dancing flamenco at UCLA as like a hobby, and it's like flamenco dancing is using it's rhythmic feet.
Super rhythmic.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I thought, oh, the top of the body is like Persian dancing, as noted before in my beauty pageant days.
So there's that posture again.
There's that posture. So I thought this would be a perfect marriage of drumming and Persian dancing. But I realized like I'm not great at choreography, even though I'm a drummer and I can play grooves. So I hurt my knee. It's a long story, but that's how I started playing the cajon, was through that flamenco class. I hurt my knee and I asked the professor if I could accompany the guitarist, which was her husband. So she brought me the cajon. Long story short, there was a dance recital where I was playing cajon, and these two women came to the show and said, oh my gosh, I wonder if she plays drum set too, because they were trying to start a girl band. And so they found me in the dorms. They're like, are you Mona? Are you the girl who's playing the box with the flamenco class? I'm like, yeah. Like, do you also play drum set? Yes. Great. Do you want to join our band? And I was like, sure.
Did you have a drum set at that point?
I didn't have it at school, but I was like, I have a kit at home I could bring. And they're like, oh, I have a kit. We'll bring it and we'll rehearse. And we have 4 songs and we're going to play at the Temple Bar. One of the girls was dating the guy who managed the place. And he was like, if you can get a band together in a month, you guys can play. She got a band together. And that's kind of how I started meeting the people in the band.
You played a show within a month.
We played a show, and then we're like, we're good. We should keep going. And then we did. And then when I graduated from UCLA, I moved back home to San Jose because my mom was like, you don't have a job and you're not married, and you need to come home. I was like, okay. So I went back, and I was super involved in high school. Like, I was ASB president and like in speech and debate team and all this stuff. So when I came back home, my speech coach was like, will you come coach for me? I was like, yes. And then the student body advisor was like, will you come and advise the government, like the meetings? I'm like, sure. So I got a job at my high school, and I loved it.
Really?
But then I was coming back to LA once a month for band practice.
Just once a month?
Yeah. Because this was like the crucial time where it was, is Raining Jane going to continue, or am I going to stay in San Jose? And so I was coming back every month, and then after a year, I was like, I'm moving to LA, and I'm going to get a job at a coffee shop.
Which coffee shop did you get a job at?
It was called Anastasia's Asylum. Are you familiar? It was right next door to the Temple Bar. That doesn't exist anymore. So I was working at the coffee shop, and then we would just like play gigs, you know, at Genghis Cohen. Do you know that place?
Oh, yeah.
It's so awesome. We're playing there, and then we just started like kind of outgrowing that, and then going to Hotel Cafe, and then we started touring full-time and booking colleges ourselves. And that's where it was like, okay, we're like surviving.
We're scraping by.
Totes.
Which is hard.
Sort of an impossibility. Like, I cannot believe we did that.
When you say you were touring full-time, what did that mean? Like, how many months out of the year were you gone?
Like 8 months.
Playing colleges just all over the country.
Full time, yes. And it was like in 4-month spurts. Like, we really got our show legs and our touring legs. Like, we were relentless. Like, every show we got, we would say yes to. And we would just go do it. And if one person came or 100 people came, we were like, we're getting paid to be here. Let's do it.
Was there a time when you felt like you had a devoted fan base where there would be a certain amount of people that would show up to all the shows?
Not really, because we were like a college touring band. So we weren't developing.
So you
like
were just
solid,
like a band that college kids would come to see.
Yes.
And they didn't necessarily know your songs or music in advance.
Exactly. Yeah. It would be like the coffee house weekly concert in February when it's too cold to do anything other than drink in your room.
Right.
You could go see this girl band from LA for an hour.
And at the University of Montana. Yes.
Exactly. But it was awesome. We got to see the whole country and get to know each other.
Yeah, that's intense to spend that much time with people.
Yes.
How did the personal dynamic develop?
It's awesome. We're still a band. We're still together. And it's like, I don't want to say family. It's like marriage. Like, we're all married to each other. So it's like so much interpersonal growth and care and connection, you know?
What did you learn about communication and, just interpersonal dynamics from that experience? Like, if you think about the version of you that first loaded those Pearl exports into the van and the person that you've become, like, what have you learned about how to deal with other people's particularities?
That's such a great, insightful question. I think it's like, always be a team player. Like, I love being on a team, but I learned how to be a great collaborator and a great teammate. And I learned that everyone has their junk and trash and garbage and shit, and you have to just hold space for people. Because I know I don't know, your patience has to expand or you're going to collapse on yourself, like you're not going to survive. So it was a lot of like letting people take turns being a little bitch. You know what I mean? And if you didn't do that, then we wouldn't survive. And as women already, I felt like we were great communicators, and it's a really special group of people who are willing to go that far with each other. That's tough, like 4 months at a time.
How long did you do that kind of touring?
That was like for 4 years or something. And that's before cell phones.
So
like,
when
what
was
were
this?
we doing in the van?
When did you start doing it?
That was like 2004.
Uh-huh.
Like we had my Toshiba laptop. We all shared it. And it had like a CD drive. And so we'd put DVDs in it and watch it in the back row.
Fancy.
Dude, we were living that dream.
What was your top DVD?
We had the 6 seasons of Sex and the City that we bought at Costco. And that got us through like a nice chunk of touring.
Which Sex and the City character do you identify most closely with?
I cannot answer that question. Who do you think I am?
I don't know you
You
well
don't
enough.
know me. You don't know me. I don't know.
Do you think you would identify with any of them, really?
No. But we always played that game. It's like, which character are you on Three's Company,
I got retweeted by Kim Cattrall a while ago. I can't remember about what. I think it was because she was a fan of one of the drummers that was on the show. I was pretty psyched.
That's amazing.
Because also she was in Mannequin, right? I mean, not just Sex and the City.
So would you describe yourself as a Samantha? You're giving off those vibes, Joe.
Well, like nympho vibes? What are you talking about? I think I'm keeping this pretty professional.
I'm just joking. That's awkward. I'm sorry.
I guess in the sense that I have like a younger partner in life. So
that you wear beautiful gowns.
So you and the band did this intense touring for 4 years.
Yeah.
Then what changed after 4 years?
Well, we decided around 2008, 2009 that we wanted to take a break from touring because we were kind of burned out. And we were doing everything ourselves from,
That's a good way to do it at least when you're getting started.
Totally. We got kind of burned out, and then we decided we wanted to start a rock and roll camp for girls in Los Angeles. So Becky and I, the bass player and I, went and volunteered at a camp in Portland, and we were so moved by what they were doing. We're like, oh, we should do a version of this in LA, where it's all female volunteers and mentors and working with girls with no experience or some experience, and helping them feel great about themselves and each other through music.
What was the impetus to start it? Like, what about volunteering in Portland inspired you to the extent that you wanted to start your own version?
Just being out on the road and being a woman and being in an all-female band, like experiencing the massive amounts of sexism all the time and thinking like, wow, I wish if I knew community or other women who were playing music or could guide me or mentor me. So when I went to Portland, I was so moved by this really incredible space they'd created to just have females collaborating. Like, wow, that's so powerful. We do it all the time as a band, but now it's like one next level up. And then to see that what I do in the world, which is like playing drums and being cool with my sisters, was like actually applicable to something that would empower somebody else. Wow, great. I'd love to do that for my community. Mm-hmm. So that was the impetus, was like, I really want to bring this to LA where there's so much bullshit going on for girls and women in music. This is 2010.
Do you think that there's been a major change since 2010?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's so much more collaboration happening. There was so much competition. It felt like if there was one girl in the band that was like, okay, you're the girl in the band, or if there was a girl playing piano, that's like the girl playing piano. There shouldn't be any more girls playing piano. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, where was that coming from?
It was just what I was witnessing in the world, and how like what a specialty gimmick it felt like that we were all girls. Like we would get booked for Women's History Month all the time because we're all women.
Yeah, earlier you said that the women in your band wanted to specifically start an all-female band.
Those two women are now no longer in the band.
Oh, weird.
They left like at year 2.
So you're the only original member?
Mai and I, the cellist,
okay,
and
got
I
it.
are the only original members. And Becky and I met in the dorms. We were both working as RAs and PAs at UCLA. And then Chaska was a captain of the volleyball team. And her friend was like, you guys need Chaska to sing in your band. And we're like, do we? You know. And then we heard her. We're like, yeah, we need her. So, yeah, those two original members that wanted to start an all-female band are not in the band any longer.
Do you think there are any benefits of having an all-female band? Like versus like a co-educational band?
No, I mean, I love my band. And I love that we're all women and that we all sort of met when we were younger and grew up together. I love that. But, I mean, I'm in bands with dudes all the time. So
I've played drums backing up a couple of notable female artists over the years.
Yeah.
And it always strikes me when we go on tour the way the sound guy will talk to them in lots of places.
Yeah.
And like if we go to Guitar Center, how
Yeah.
the initial assumption is that I'm there to buy gear and that's my girlfriend accompanying me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm working for this person.
Isn't that wild?
You know?
And that's been the story for a long time. Guitar Center actually, like 5 years ago or something, did a focus group, much like Tori Amos.
I would say much unlike Tori Amos. The Guitar Center, if Guitar Center was a person, it would not be very Tori Amos-y. It would be more like a Ted Nugent.
Oh no, oh my God. But just to speak to Guitar Center, they've been a great supporter of girls' rock camps. And they were really trying to change stuff up. Like 5 years ago.
Thanks, Guitar Center.
I know. Da 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 da. No, they. Thanks for the earplugs. They had a VP of inventory or something like 5 years ago, and she was so supportive, and they still actually hook us up with storage space for our gear and stuff. They're trying, and I really appreciate that. I mean, you know, they're getting.
They'll probably shut down sooner or later because of Amazon anyway.
I know.
And then you'll have to get money from Amazon.
Totally. Do you have a contact number?
After this, I will hook you up. There's this guy, Jeff, that I know.
Jeff B?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you know him? That's amazing. I'd love his info. Thanks.
What's an average day like for a camper at the girls' rock camp?
So they come in around 10 a.m. and we have morning assembly. And this is where we do something called yoga aerobics. We put on like a notable female artist song, and we do we stretch our bodies. And then we do the skit time players, where we have volunteers put on a skit about what kind of they're going to do for the day, or maybe an issue that's come up for them during the day. We do group agreements where we talk about things we want to all do as a camp for the day, like I'm going to support my sister, I'm going to try something I've never done before, and then I agree. And then they go to instrument instruction, and we have them separated into 2 groups. The flats are ages 8 to 11, and the sharps are 12 to 17. And so the flats go to instrument instruction, and then the sharps go to a workshop. So maybe it's a workshop on image and identity. Maybe it's women in history of music, self-defense, workshops like that. At lunch, we bring in an artist, like a local female artist or a touring female artist.
Who are some of the artists that you've brought in over the years? Have you ever brought in Tori Amos?
Oh my gosh.
No.
Do you have her number?
I don't.
Okay, all right. No, we never have. But we have had amazing artists come through. Like local, like Trios AS have come through. Katy Perry came through one year. and that was so cool.
What did she speak about?
We actually did a Q&A with her, and the campers asked her questions, and she was so awesome and so graceful and so honest. It was really cool to have her. Sarah Bareilles comes a lot. Yeah, just amazing women. And so they perform at lunch, and then they do a Q&A for the girls. And we try to give them a really diverse variety of artists. Like one year we had 2 female bagpipers, and that was just like, oh, and that also exists, as a possibility in your life. Just trying to showcase that, like, there's lots of different things that women do in the world of music. And then after lunch, the flats go to band practice. And so we pair up girls based on age, not really experience. And the idea is, like, you're not trying to write a hit song. You're trying to, like, go through the creative process with other girls at different levels of creation. So that that gives the girls an ability to, like, have empathy and build compassion with other girls that maybe don't have experience playing music, And then the other girls go to workshop, and then at the end of the day, we have a closing assembly. And on Saturday...
So is it a week-long program?
It's a week-long program.
Uh-huh.
And then on Saturday, they perform that original song that they wrote in 1 week at the Troubadour or whatever club we have our showcase at.
How many bands are on the bill?
It's between 13 and 15.
Wow. Okay. So it's how many people? Like 50 to 100 people?
It's like 60 to 70 girls.
Okay.
And then we have about 60 to 70 volunteers.
Wow.
It's so dope. It's amazing. Like, the kind of women that come out and volunteer their time, it's unbelievable. And it's such a great place to meet other women that are interested in music or interested in being of service to other girls or women. It's really cool.
If you're giving lessons on an instrument, what's your objective?
At camp?
In general.
I would just, from my personal perspective, I'm always just trying to empower somebody to, like, express themselves. Mm-hmm. It's never like, I'm never looking for, like, a technical mastery, because I just want somebody to feel like they can go for it. That was my takeaway from playing the drums, was like, oh, I'm not a technical wizard, but, like, I'm really, like, experiencing something.
Yeah, I think for me that was my initial takeaway, and then when I went to music school, it was like, oh, actually your opinion doesn't count unless you have virtuosic talent, and then you can begin to express yourself at that point.
Boo.
And that was kind of like the viewpoint that was advanced at that point.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, don't you feel like now that has given you context for what you're doing now?
It definitely gives me context for this show.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, if for nothing else, then...
Yeah.
But also it gave you so much.
But this show, I guess, like, doing this has been far more educational than going to music school in a structured environment for me, because I get to just sit down and talk about art and life with all the best people.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And you do such a great job.
Okay, enough about me.
No, really. You're so good at your job.
Well, I don't even know if this is my job. Is it my job?
Well, it's your hobby. What do you want?
It's part of my I think it's my calling. It's part of it.
Great.
It's definitely, I just think of it as my job as being this all-encompassing thing. That this is one component of, and playing is another component of, and composing is another thing.
But you're very good at this.
Well, thanks.
As one part of your job.
Well, thanks.
Good at.
Shine on you.
The Trap Set will always be available for free, but we rely on donations from our listeners. Please visit our website at thetrapset.net and click donate. Subscribe to our show on iTunes, and if you enjoy what you hear, give us a review.
Okay, at one point you hooked up with a guy named Jason Mraz.
Yes.
When did that happen?
That happened in 2007.
So right as he was kind of starting to blow up?
Yeah, it was before I'm Yours came out. Raining Jane opened for him at a college. And
Which college?
University of Redlands.
Okay.
In Southern California. And he watched our opening set, which was like a 30-minute set. And then it was Matt Nathanson and Ryan Cabrera and then Jason Mraz. So it was like 3 solo male singer-songwriters. And they brought the girl band to open the whole show. And Jason was there already and like came on the side of the stage and watched us. And when we walked off the stage, he's like, hey, that was great. You know, and at that time, we would split off. Like me and Mai would go sell merch and Chaska and Becky would clean up the stage because it was just us. We didn't have anybody else. And so Becky and Chaska kind of stayed and talked to Jason, and we went and sold merch. And then after the show, we talked to him, and he's like, you guys should be my band. And we're like, okay, yeah, cool. Call us, you know. And then he called us.
But he wasn't like a big star or anything at that point.
I mean, he had The Remedy.
Okay, yeah,
he totally had a hit. And watching him live that night was like, oh my gosh, this guy is such an artist. He was such an entertainer, and just it was beautiful watching him.
What is it about your band that you feel like made him seek you out?
Well, I'll just speak to what he's said to us, which is like he really loves our harmonies. We do a lot of harmonies, and we have we play a lot of instruments. So I played the cajon on a couple tunes. I did a duet with our bass player on the sitar. She was playing sitar, I was playing cajon.
As one does.
As one does. And one of our guitarists and lead singers also plays cello, and we just had a lot of instruments. We were switching around a lot. So I think he was, as he tells us, like he was interested in all of that possibility for creation of sound. He was like, it would be so fun to write songs together. I was like, yes, let's do that. And then once we got into the studio with him, it was so simpatico. I mean, it was like great vibe, enjoyment. We all love snacks a lot, so.
What's your snack of choice?
Oh my, we just have endless amounts of snacks.
I made Chex Mix. It's the holiday season.
Excuse me?
You can have a Ziploc bag of it on your way out.
And Jeff B's number?
Sure.
Wow. This has been a very fruitful afternoon.
How did your life change when Jason's career started to take off?
Well, we ended up doing a couple of writing sessions with him and recording those demos at his house. And then the We Sing album came out, and he was gone for like 2 years on that tour.
So he didn't bring you on that tour?
No.
Okay.
And we were like, oh, okay, bye. Oh, yay, go Jason, you know? And we always just kind of kept in touch through email. And then when he got back from that whirlwind and started writing for his next record, we would get together and do these things called ladies' weekends, where we'd go to his house for like 3 days, spend the night, and just...
Like slumber party style?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we had so much fun. And this is like when he was a bachelor, so he was like, oh my gosh, the girl band's coming over, we're all going to sleep in the living room. It was so fun. Nothing weird. Total bro vibes. And we just had so much fun together. We'd just stay up and write songs, and we'd be so... it'd be so fruitful. It'd be like, I don't know, 4 or 5 songs in a weekend that we would write and then record.
Did he cut you in on the publishing for that?
I mean, if we wrote songs that got used, of course. Mm-hmm. He's the most generous, most fair. I really can't say enough nice things about this guy. And so hardworking and so honest. He's like incredible person. In 2007, we wrote A Beautiful Mess with him. And that was on the We Sing record. So when he left for 2 years, that was the first time we'd ever seen publishing for ourselves. So we were connected to that rise, and it was so exciting. People were still buying records at that time, and I'm Yours was just a massive international hit. So that was really exciting. Then he came back, and the follow-up to that record was Love. And we had, at one time, we had like 4 songs that were potentials to be on the record. And then by the time the record came out, we had 0 songs on the record. And I was like, oh, back to the van. No, we were deep now in that point with Rock Camp 2010, 2011. And then in 2012, when Jason put out Love, I ended up going with him to Antarctica on a climate reality cruise adventure with Al Gore and some other awesome people. And I was his duo partner for that. And then after that, I started touring with him as a duo during the promotional cycle of the Love record. And that was like, I Won't Give Up. So
doing like talk shows and stuff.
Yeah. Radio, talk shows, doing that whole circuit internationally.
Did you hang out with Al Gore all that much?
Yeah.
What was his vibe?
He's so cool. He's so cool. And
he's chill.
He's totally chill. It's Al Gore, man. Yeah, everybody on that boat was like people that were like, how can we use our resources to help this issue? Mm-hmm. And that was 2012.
Jeff B. wasn't on that boat?
Jeff B. was not on that boat.
Bro.
I know.
What about Richard Branson?
He was on the boat.
See, I knew somebody like that would be there.
There were so many wonderful people. And
was Bono there?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to ask any other questions?
No. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I did jump into the waters of Antarctica.
What was that like?
The worst.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea, but you know what?
But now you can tell me that you jumped into the waters of Antarctica.
I'll tell you, Tom Brokaw was there. Mm-hmm. You know him? He's like an old newscaster. Mm-hmm. Really cool guy. And I was not going to do it. I was not going to jump. And Jason said, if Tom Brokaw does it and you don't,
yeah,
think about your life. Yeah.
Don't be a little bitch.
Don't be a little bitch. So I did it.
Okay.
Okay, great. You can edit that out too.
No, we're keeping it.
Damn it.
So right now, how do you spend your time and how do you divide your time?
Yeah, so I'll just catch you up from 2012, 2013, Raining Jane kept writing with Jason. And then in 2013, Jason's like, let's make a record, Jason and Jane record. And then 2014, we toured that record, and that was called Yes. And so that was like, oh my gosh, all the writing we'd been doing since 2007. Finally, we had a body of work the label was stoked about and we were excited about. And we got to tour and do like theaters, and it was so cool. It was so special.
Did you have someone to sell your merch?
Can you believe it? This wonderful man named Jerry.
So luxurious.
Mr. Jerry, yes. I can't even believe it. There was somebody setting my stuff up.
But seriously, if you hadn't done all those years in the van, can you imagine what it would have been like to just be given that right away? Like you wouldn't have appreciated it.
Exactly. It was all steps to get us to where we are today. And I can't even believe when I get the opportunities to work with a tech or a merch person, I'm always like in gratitude. It was a wild ride for a long time. And I actually joined Jason's band in 2012 after the duo time. I joined his other band and I was playing percussion for him, and that was the first time I really like got a percussion rig together because I had been a kit player. And then once the cajon came in, it was like, oh great, yeah, put some bongos and a djembe and let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get
what
to
else
work.
did you have? Some shakers going? And
totes, yeah.
How do you kind of spend your time right now?
How do I spend my time?
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're still freelance, right? I mean,
Yes,
you're your
yeah.
own company, or you're your own boss.
Yeah.
So how do you divide your day? Are you structured, or do you kind of just go with the flow?
Yeah, I've been touring so much this year. It's been a really awesome year in terms of diversity of gigs and studio work and videos and everything. And I had a cajon come out this year with LP. It's called The Empty Box. And my initials are MT. And it's an empty box. Mm-hmm. Joe, get excited about it. Mm-hmm. He's not excited, audience. I was on the cover of Drum Magazine at the beginning of the year, so everything was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe.
All right, enough bragging, Mona.
Hey, listen, you have a great voice, okay? Enjoy it.
Okay.
Okay. Stop bragging. I'm just telling you that the year started off with like unbelievable things happening, and then the momentum.
What was the impact
continued.
of being on the cover of Drum Magazine? Like, did people call you? Did you get more calls for gigs?
Is that embarrassing that I brought it up?
No. I'm just. I've never been on the cover of a magazine, so I'm just asking. How did that change? Was it?
You have to.
Did it make an impact on your life? No, seriously.
No, it didn't. It made an impact. It just made me feel proud. I felt so like I cannot believe the 20 years of my career as a percussionist and a drummer have led me to this moment where, as an Iranian woman that plays a box, I'm on this publication. Like, I cannot believe it.
How many of them did you get? How many did you buy?
I bought 5, and I went to a couple of Barnes & Nobles. I tried to buy them online, but they were sold out.
When you went to Barnes & Noble and you bought it, what did the checkout person say?
They didn't know. The picture was like it's like me with my head thrown back.
I just pictured you coming up to the desk with the counter with the magazine in front of your head, and then you slowly move it.
Yeah, I would.
I'll take 5, please.
See, you kind of do know me, because I would do that, but I did not do that. But I was just so proud. And then the cajon came out, so I got to go and share that, and then I was just touring. So I toured a lot with Ebby, and then I toured a lot with Jason last year, and I've really just flown a lot of miles. And sadly, all the bands that I'm touring with fly on different airlines, so I don't have the status that I really desire in my life.
Do you have
on the airplanes
frequent flyer miles with all of them, though? At
yes.
least?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm just like mediocre Sally on every airline.
Okay. If I spend $900 by the end of the year on an airline, then I can bring my girlfriend on any flight with me for free for a whole year.
What airline?
Southwest.
Dude, I'm so excited for her.
But I'm just trying to decide if it's worth it to spend the extra $900. I think it is.
I mean, what a baller thing to be like, yo, boo, let's go.
Let's go to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Let's go to Phoenix.
Anytime, you're free.
Yeah. Hey, what do you want to do this weekend?
Phoenix.
I'm thinking Minneapolis.
I'm everything and everywhere. Can you see me in your own reflection? I'm deep within the molecules of the air that you breathe in, all the subatomic, supersonic spaces in between. I'm everywhere. I'm reaching out in every direction. I believe I'm in the water too, 'cause you act just like you need me. I'm everywhere.
As somebody who's self-employed,
Yeah.
how do I
manage my day?
Manage your day?
I just have like a list of priorities I have to do. And like every week I have to meet with my collaborators for Rock Camp, because we are doing work every week to make our summer camp happen and our ladies rock camp happen. And that's like a job, legit.
Do you get paid a salary to do it?
There's 3 of us that get paid a part-time salary. And we did it. We're going into our 10th year of Rock Camp. But for the first 7 years, we did not pay ourselves. And in the 8th year, we started giving ourselves a part-time salary. So, we like put in the
fair.
work. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, there's just, when I get home, I have to do Rock Camp stuff. I have to see people. I need to rehearse for whatever's next, or go to a local gig. But no, I don't. I micromanage my day, like kind of the day before. Mm-hmm. Like 8 a.m.
Are you a planner?
Wake up toast.
So okay.
Yes, I have I still have a book I write in that I get made fun of by people older than me.
They're just jealous. They're jealous that you're more organized. They wish they were as organized as you are.
Yeah. Well, do you have a paper planner, or you're a digital guy?
I write lists down on paper at the beginning of the day, and then I have a digital calendar in my telephone.
Yes, great.
Well, what scares you, like in a positive way? What are you scared to try that you want to try?
Oh gosh, like being in the ocean.
You've never been in the ocean?
No, I've been in the ocean. Are you talking about like career, or just
I'm just
in
talking
general?
about in general.
Life?
Like, what do you, I mean, whether it's being in the ocean, making a solo album,
Ooh.
having children, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Did you read my diary?
I don't know.
These are all yes, all of those things. I thought for a second like maybe I would do like a solo thing, but it was like the cajon was my solo record or something.
Designing the cajon.
Yeah. Because that felt like me. It felt like I was figuring out what woods I wanted, how many plies of this thing, what I wanted the design to be, what I wanted it to sound like. And then I had to go out there and be like, this is good, listen to this, play this, buy this. So I feel like that was sort of like a solo project. But I do feel like maybe there's something in me that would like to do like a creative one-woman show or something. I don't know.
Great.
I don't know.
You could do it in a black box theater and call it Empty Box.
Oh my gosh, Joe. Are you going to produce this?
Sure.
Great. Finally, we're collaborating.
What's the most exciting thing that you would like to try?
I once saw Katy Perry's band play, and her band, at one point in the show, got airlifted. Like, her guitarist had a harness on, and he got airlifted. And I was so excited about that. So as a personal fear, but also goal in my life, I'd like to get harnessed with my cajon.
This is very specific, and I like it. I like it very much.
You know the secret. I mean, you got to be specific in order to get what you want. So I want to be airlifted.
Wait, are you talking about like the capital S secret?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah, I sure am.
That's like the Oprah book. Is she the person that
No.
kind of made it big?
No.
I don't know if she didn't write it.
It was maybe a part of her book club. Have you seen the
Is
movie?
it that Eckhart Tolle guy, or
No.
what is it? Who
You're
wrote
just
it?
naming all these self-help
remember.
wizards right now.
Okay.
It's called The Secret.
I know. I've heard.
Have you seen the movie?
No.
You will enjoy it so much.
You think so?
Well, it's just hilarious.
Okay.
But also, it's the law of attraction.
Oh.
You're living it.
Okay.
You're like, oh, I want to like learn in the field, and now you have this amazing podcast, and you've learned everything in the field.
So you want to get airlifted? Let's get back to that. You want to get airlifted with your cajon?
Yes, that terrifies me, but I also think
It would be great as the
It'd be great.
like. It would be great as a finale, or
Yes.
even the intro to your one-woman show,
Yes.
which you'll write.
yeah,
2019.
2019. But I think it's going to be like some high overhead costs.
And-
Literally, I will be overhead. Okay,
boy.
and I got to get sponsors. Who do we know?
That's
Guitar
okay.
Center, Jeff B,
Yeah, there you go.
Tori Amos.
That's it. That's all you need. Or maybe you could get a drone, to lift you up. Fancy drone.
These are great ideas.
Was there anything else that you wanted to discuss or to ask me or anything like that before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, I was excited to share the cajon thing, but I didn't know. I really had no idea what you were going to ask me. I didn't know how to prepare
Neither did
for
I.
this. You
Well,
didn't?
I think it's like a matter of, I did some research about
Yeah.
you, but not too much.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing that you did.
Yeah.
So if you know too much about somebody, then you have to be extra careful not to
Give the answers in the question.
right, or to
something.
guide the conversation
Yeah.
in a definite direction and not explore the tangents.
Yeah. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
I'm really into teamwork and really into community and everything. And now that you're doing this podcast for like 3 years or 4 years?
Almost 4, yeah.
That's so cool.
Coming up on 200 episodes.
Wow. I want to stand and clap. I'm standing right now. I'm standing.
No, you're not. You're
I'm-
sitting.
Shh. Don't
Okay,
break
but
the
what
phone.
did you want to
No,
ask?
my question is, do you feel like since you've started this podcast that now you have, or you're helping build community within drummers?
Absolutely. I
Yes.
think that it's definitely a community unto itself. And, people that come on the show will mention that they admire other people that have been on the show. And I'm able to say, okay, you go to this person's show, and then people can meet their heroes. And I think at some point I want to have a giant party and invite everybody that's been on the show. I was
So
thinking of
cool.
doing it for the 200th episode, but now I'm thinking maybe I'll wait till the 250th.
Okay. That's so cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's not only just the people that have been on the show, but
Yeah.
the people that listen get something out of it, which is nice. And, at first it started as a way for me to work through my neuroses with my drumming heroes. It's, to me, it's not that interesting how people develop their particular playing style or their technique, just because I think it's usually pretty obvious what they're doing. What's more interesting is why they choose to make the decisions that they've made and the origin story. And I think that, to me, is more useful than learning the mechanics of what somebody is doing.
Totally.
I mean, I already have spent a good amount of time studying that, so I'm actually trying to get beyond this idea that we should be able to play everybody else's stuff, Anyway.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Well, Mona Tavakoli,
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the Trap Set.
Honored. Thank you.
The Trap Set is produced by me, Joe Wong, along with Chris Karwowski, who also edits the program. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook @The Trap Set, and visit our website, thetrapset.net, to subscribe to our show for free. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please donate to our show. If you can't afford to donate, please tell a friend and give us a good rating on iTunes. Send your feedback and guest requests to thetrapset@gmail.com.